Moayad. Welcome, Moayad.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming so far. Tell me, what did you bring? I mean, what brings you here?
Well, to the Netherlands, actually, first.
A little bit up, yeah. All right. Perfect.
To the Netherlands, actually, first.
Nice.
Because I think that was 2015. It feels quite a long time ago, but it's not, actually.
Yeah.
It's only 6-7 years ago.
It's weird, right?
Yeah. I think it's also we've grown older. Like
yeah.
We were 21 or so.
Exactly.
Like, I think it's just became normal to move to the Netherlands. I completely became Dutch quite quickly.
Yeah.
I got used to the cold also really quickly.
Yeah. Was it a culture shock?
A bit.
Yeah.
I think my expectation of Dutch people were quite high anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it got met. However, in the same time, as you can imagine, I had to deal with immigration. I had to deal with visas. I had to deal with all the drama in the beginning. So you always kind of find it quite strange the way they do things, but you get used to it.
All that paperwork, all that stuff. How did you end up in the Netherlands of all places?
That's a really good point. Well, actually, the truth is I wanted to go to the UK first.
Oh, okay.
And as you can imagine, I speak English. So for me, it was like easier-ish. But actually, unfortunately, I got rejected for my visa.
All right.
And I got an internship in Spain, in Barcelona.
Okay.
And for 6 months, the best part of my life.
Yeah.
However, that 6 months had to finish. And I really wanted to start my own company. And then, of course, the UK got rejected. So I thought, well, best second country to go English speaking was the Netherlands.
Oh, wow. That's so high up the list for okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it was easier than moving to the UK, for example.
Yeah.
So you're originally from Jordan, right?
Correct.
You grew up there?
Yeah.
How was that? Like,
it was amazing. I've grown to the person I became. It was not easy, of course. I mean, I grew up in Amman, which is the capital of Jordan. I grew up in a very modest culture, very modest household. We've grown up in appreciating what we have quite a lot. Also, it was quite difficult, as you can imagine, seeing all the world on TV, but actually sort of seeing you may never be that level. And you think about it like, would it ever be me?
Out of reach, sort of.
Absolutely. My dream was actually to be in a plane.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the first. Okay. Oh, sick. How old were you when you first went on the plane?
21.
Okay.
So moving to do my internship in Barcelona was my first ever in plane. And that was like the most amazing experience ever.
You weren't scared?
Funny thing to say, actually, I was in the airport 2 days earlier than my plane. This is how excited I was. I was sort of...
That's amazing.
flying.
You just hung around the airport for 2 days?
2 days.
Because you're so excited.
Exactly.
You see like the small things that we take for granted.
Is that
and then-
manifestation? Kind of? A little bit manifestation?
Maybe. I think the plane association came not only from being just a symbol being in a plane, but actually just moving to a different country was already a dream. And achieving that dream made everything possible. I was like, I can do this. Anything is possible.
You grew up in Jordan,
Correct.
you said before. What was the difficulty by like growing up in a country like in the 90s in Jordan, and then having this mindset like I want to do something big? Like you always had this mindset of like I want to do something, like build something, do something better for the world, or?
Absolutely. It's more challenging. I mean, coming from a society where it's closed-minded, but also quite out there. Jordan is quite modern as a country. Everybody almost speaks English, but also in the same way, you're still living in your neighborhood. So whatever your dreams are around your own neighborhood. And any dreams outside the neighborhood, it's almost blocked.
Yeah.
And for me, I knew that I wanted to do something different. I knew I had to do something different. I thought to myself, okay, I have the brains. Now, what am I going to do? And
what was the age that you realized I have the brains?
Well, actually, my whole life kind of thought in a different mindset.
You were, like, faster than anybody else?
Probably.
Yeah.
Would you say you were smarter than the other kids? Or just a different mindset than the other kids?
different mindset, I think.
And where does that come from? Because you're saying you lived off in a small town. Is it a small town? Or
Well,
it's a capital, but
correct.
in
a small society.
Yeah, small society. And what made you different in the sense that you were like, no, there's more to this? What was that push? Where did that come from?
Everybody told me that I actually act and behave older. So I was like an old soul person. I was always the mature one. I was always like the stricter one in life. But also I was the person who would always take the risk.
Yeah.
So I would actually be the person who would just whatever bad things, I would just kind of take the blame because it's fun. It's sort of,
all right.
That's the risks that I would want to do in my career. It's kind of take the risk. It's bigger reward.
Yeah, you learned English by listening to CDs and stuff, right?
Correct. And that's such an amazing thing because English is taught, however, is not actually taught to the level actually you can actually use it in your daily life. And of course, if you actually visit Jordan, you will notice a lot of people speak English quite well, but it's still a struggle. And yes, I don't speak English excellent yet, but
it's quite good, to be honest.
It's quite good, to be honest.
I think it's a sort of a thing where you even have a self-conscious thing, like, am I saying correctly? And being actually in the Netherlands sort of make it easier because everybody's like, yeah, we are Dutch, so we do the Dutch English style.
Yeah. How long did it take for you to learn it, English? Was it a couple of months, years?
That's what's sort of noticing because I was 16 when I met a friend of ours, kind of connection-wise, and actually I didn't speak any word in English, and it's when he was Australian. And I recall really well that it was such an embarrassing moment. I think that's sort of played with my head that I wanted to learn the language. I really wanted to do better because I thought, maybe I'm able to kind of learn it. Listening to music was such a helpful, especially reading the lyrics, movies, and actually reading the subtitles in English. So that was really a good learning experience. And I know it sounds silly, but it's helpful.
It does help.
You went to normal school there, right?
I did. Well, sort of actually. I did go to school, but not actually completely. I actually also in the same time I went to university, so that was sort of my next step, my college and university degrees.
In Jordan.
In Jordan.
Yeah.
I was educated by a Swiss university, which was actually quite interesting. And it's called La Roche. It's also still actually have a part in Switzerland, Chicago, and in China. So it was.
It's very exclusive, is it?
Exactly, and it was like a sort of private. Luckily, I got scholarship, so I didn't have to pay.
But why? Because I think there were only 2 people that were allowed to go.
Correct.
Why did they pick you?
Well, actually, you're gonna have to ask them.
Oh, you never asked?
You never curious about it?
I think I am curious, but at the same time, I think I just became myself. I didn't have to go to this. I was not. I was scared, but I was not prepared. So I was just being myself, and I didn't have to kind of go where everybody else when they do their scholarship.
You didn't have to fake your
exactly.
Okay.
But it's not based on scores, or it's just an interview you do,
a lot of exams, especially they do a lot of personality interviews, kind of to understand the person they want to have in the university. Yeah. It becomes more complex because they want to see how clever can you learn things and how smart can you do it. They so also do those tricks, like how can you solve something that is more tricky than in different items and different students.
Oh, it's like an IQ test.
Correct.
Kinda. Okay. And you probably scored the highest.
I didn't do that bad.
And then that university was in Switzerland?
In Jordan.
In Jordan.
They have a Swiss, the Swiss section actually also in Jordan. So they have a branch in Jordan taught by Swiss people. So the behavior wise, I actually learned from the Swiss.
All right.
Okay. I hear a little bit of accent from Swiss. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah,
a little bit,
maybe.
German.
It sounds
kinda?
Deutsch, German,
Interesting.
And then you're studying there food science.
Correct. Yes, I did.
Why?
Yeah. Why food?
That? Yeah.
Because everybody shouldn't be the Superman. It should be like a Superman, a hero should be just wearing a doctor uniform, or a superhero shouldn't be actually the person we always imagine. It can be food scientist. I know it sounds strange, and I know people may not actually understand. People think actually we cook. which is sometimes, but it's fun to cook. But actually we do way more. We make actually food to become more available, more healthy actually. And we do more than just actually kind of be in a lab or be in a kitchen. And I thought, I want to do something that is more pleasurable, more fun. I didn't want to be in scientists that's physics, for example. I have a huge respect for them, but it's way complex for me. I just want to do something that's still in my hand.
Yeah.
I can taste it, which is the best part.
Yes. But the interest in food, you know, you're a scientist. You say, yeah, you're a scientist, right? So why food? Just why food?
I think it's something also cultural wise we've grown in food, as in Jordan. When we're sad, we eat. When we're happy, we eat. When we have a funeral, we eat. When we have a birthday, we eat. Right. Anything, any reason there is actually to eat, we find a solution for it by food. And it's just something, it's an amazing thing because it's taught me that food is more appreciated because it can actually solve a lot of sorrow. And, you know, it's such an exciting journey because you make people happy. They can taste something and you can cheer them up. And I know it's not magic, but it sounds magical.
So it does come from a place where you would want to help people. That's
Absolutely.
Where it comes from. Okay.
Absolutely.
And then once you finish university, you take a plane and you fly to the Netherlands, or?
I've flown to Spain.
To Spain first.
And the funny thing is, it took me literally, I graduated in the 14th. I did my last day of the last semester. And in the 16th, I was in the plane to Spain. So
2 days after.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, no. You went straight from graduating to hanging out at the airport.
To the airport. And I was so excited. I was like, I don't want to miss it. It was a snowy day. And yes, I could have missed it due to the snow, but that's not the real reason why I was there early. I was just so excited. It meant so much to me. And people who were just in the plane, like, yeah, it's just a normal thing. For me, that was my whole dream. And yes, it could be silly. It could be simple, but it's my own dream. You know what I mean? It's like,
of course, you hold your value to it.
You were like 21 when you arrived in Spain?
Correct. Yep.
First time alone in like a European country?
Barcelona.
How the fuck was that?
Oh, Barcelona's wild too. So like,
the best part of the country.
That must have been like,
everything was wow. Everything was like amazing. I had no clue what was going on. I just knew one thing. I want to enjoy my internship. I'm not going to stress out. I'm not going to be kind of like the good kid. I'm going to just enjoy Spain. And that was my whole dream, is to be in Spain. And the funny thing is, actually, I went to the biggest actually cities in the Catalonia area, in Barcelona. And yes, it was crazy. Somebody who never traveled, never been outside Amman, to jump in the plane.
You've never been outside of before that?
Nope.
Wow, that's even more crazy.
And why Spain?
I think Spain came with many reasons, but actually the real true answer, that was actually as a part of my internship to get, in case if we get high score, any top students will get the internship as an opportunity. So they get it as a sort of a gift from the university.
What did you intern for? Like,
so I did actually 2 types of internship. So I did the what they call kind of more contemporary cuisine. So more like a cooking with liquid nitrogen and all of those chemicals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I also worked in more the scientific part of this. So I was on like 3 months and 3 months.
Oh, so the first part, is that like what chefs do?
Correct. But like with liquid nitrogen, and they put all of those.
Oh yeah, the
things.
extra. Yeah. That was like a new wave back then, huh?
It still is,
so
actually.
What was the first one that did that? Was that the Danish restaurant Noma?
Noma?
Yeah, they were the first one, no? Yeah, they were. I think they're number 1 for like the last 5 years. And they quit for a while too, I think.
Really?
Yeah. And then you like to do that, or you had the feeling like, I don't want to do this forever?
I knew what I wanted to do, actually. That's the truth. And that's sort of really good thing, because I also had my own doubts. I'm not going to lie. But I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. I knew that my life is not supposed to be in the kitchen cooking, which is good. Don't get me wrong. I love cooking.
But not for you.
Not for me.
Yeah.
And it's such a sort of, I have a huge admiration for people who work in the restaurants, because it's such a pressure job. You really have to cook and nonstop, and you don't even have a space to take a break.
They often get burned out. A lot of
Absolutely.
chefs get burned out because they're on constant pressure.
Absolutely. And you cannot make any mistake.
Yeah.
It's people's lives actually in your hand. So it's quite stressful. And I knew I wanted to open my own business. I knew I wanted to do business in a way that is not done before. I always sort of heard about the way they should do business. And I thought to myself, what I'm going to do when I'm going to open a business, I'm going to throw all of what I heard in the trash and I'm going to start over.
And then how long did you stay in Spain? 3 months, you said?
6 months.
6 months. And then from there you went back to Jordan?
Correct. I went there for 1 month.
And then you went to the Netherlands.
And then I did my visa, which was a surprising thing because my first 3 months visa to the Netherlands, it took 4 days, which is usually very short.
That's short?
Correct.
Because wow, okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
4
meant
days?
to be.
Oh.
It was meant to
the
be.
Dutch.
Exactly. It was meant to be.
Wow. Do you know why it went so fast, or is that just the normal procedure? Because I know a lot of friends that come from other countries that want to live here, and one friend of ours, Cyrus, he had to wait like years for the paperwork.
Well, living actually itself is complex, but for me, I had a visa first to move as a 3 month visa, sort of kind of like a tourist, and then when I arrived, I sort of started doing the paperwork. But so that made it a bit easier. But for me, it was like really quick and unexpectedly quick to the level that
also you
like,
have the credentials, right? You went to study, you did the internship, so that comes across really good if you want to apply for a visa, right?
And
so
I came back in
guess
time.
that played in your favor.
Absolutely.
All right.
I also think Jordan is a good country to come from.
Correct.
From the European standpoint.
Yeah.
I think it's not that you're coming from Iraq or
yeah.
something. And also in Europe, they really love scientists. Like the scientists from like the Middle East, they love it.
Definitely the Dutch.
Really?
Yeah. That's what Germany said
Unless
lately.
you encountered otherwise.
Yeah, that's what Germany said lately about like the Afghanistan people that came to Germany. She said like, look, like back in the days, a lot of people came to our country and a lot of scientists that helped to build our technology and stuff. So it's not a bad thing. And they kind of based it on that.
Yeah.
Because it started with the World War, where like scientists come from Germany to like America and
A
stuff.
lot of people moved.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of what they're based on, because I think a lot of scientists in Europe are from Syria.
Well, now with actually, sadly, the situation in Syria, it's quite unfortunate. But also, you see something in those kind of people that they really want to prove themselves to the society. They really struggled, and they don't want to be called just immigrant. They want to be called their profession. They want to be called successful. And it's so hard because luckily I'm not in such a situation, and I think I'm way privileged comparing to coming to here in Blaine. But in the same time, it is sort of a proof of point. It's like you work extra hard. That's why you become more recognized, because you have to prove yourself that
you have to work extra hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm better. And whenever you're learning, you sort of always still feel like you're going to learn more. You need to learn more because you need to excel.
All right. So you went, 1 month of Jordan. You got your visa in order. You went to the Netherlands. Where did you arrive?
Rotterdam.
Rotterdam. That's
Correct.
where you arrived.
I arrived in Rotterdam, and I've been living in Rotterdam, so I became a Rotterdammer.
What year was that? Rotterdammer.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2015. September.
Oh, that was the 2015 September.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, 2015. Damn.
Quite a long time. It feels like forever.
It feels like forever.
That was, they always say, Drake 2016.
It was just
Good
He
album.
lives on the albums of Drake,
Yeah.
you know. He's like, oh, is that?
That's my time reference.
that's a good time reference.
Is it correct that you came to Netherlands with like $20 in your pocket?
I did. And actually, that was such... If I look back in time, I would think I was so stupid. I would never take such a risk, knowing what I know now in life. But I'm so glad that I did such a risk when I didn't know, because I was too naive. And I thought, you know what? Let's just do it. I had only the way... I was able only to have money to pay the way to the Netherlands. And that's what the money I got from my internship.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the money was over. I only bought one-way ticket. So I was like, okay, we'll just figure things out.
Okay, so I hear always a lot of stories about those people like coming with not a lot of money to like a country. But I'm always wondering, you're arriving in Netherlands, you have $20 in your pocket, euros, I guess. Like, what the fuck are you doing there? Like, how do you survive? Because that's maybe one night of stay you can have.
What did you spend it on?
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't remember. I can't even remember anything of that. But I did stay with a friend of ours who actually did his internship with me, and that's how I got to the Netherlands. So I have to always say,
Okay,
I'm so
so
thankful
you
for him.
did know somebody in the Netherlands.
Correct. I stayed with his parents, so that was
Oh,
such
wow.
a privilege for me.
Super.
His parents actually didn't allow him to stay, but allowed me to stay with them. So that sorted me out.
Were
for
they
the first
Dutch?
3
Were
months.
they Dutch
Yeah,
or
correct?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
The first 3 months free.
You came to the Netherlands with what mindset? Like, what was your goal to? Why did you came to the Netherlands? What was the mindset?
When I came back to Jordan, I was in a bit of hard on myself. I would say even to the level of depressed, because I thought, okay, my visa finished. Okay, this is it. I have to go back to Jordan. I'm going to live in reality. Let's just live it. And then the whole Netherlands thing came actually out of nowhere. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to go, but I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. I'm just going to have fun. And I'm just going to enjoy the Netherlands without any complications, because I always put pressure on myself when some things don't go right. And I think that's actually why it worked out, because I always thought, well, what's going to happen? Whatever going to happen, okay, I can go back to Jordan, perfect. But if it works out, then it's also perfect.
And what was the first way of making money there?
It was a really struggle, because I actually, first I went to do a previous company, which actually I had my first company. And my first company was more in fermentation. So I was also specialized in fermentation from university. So I really wanted to do fermentation since then. And we were actually producing more like an alcoholic beverages where they're frozen, but more healthier versions. So that's kind of the science aspect of it. Not really scientific extremely, but was a good moment to start a company. A learning experience, had no clue what I was doing.
But you start a company in the Netherlands, you need to have some money, right?
Luckily, and that's sort of what I had in the first 3 months. I really sort of start reaching out to investors, start telling my story to people, and sort of said, "This is me." You know, I have no experience.
In the first 3 months, you say
Correct.
that you arrived in Holland with no
Correct.
money,
You just
and you
have to
started
start
reaching
asking.
out to people already.
LinkedIn all the time, and I think it's sort of helpful for people to see that it is possible. There are people who want to help. There are people who believe in change and science, and there are people who believe, you know what, this could be the biggest mistake in my life, but it could be the best decision in my life. So,
see, but we have a friend
Wow.
that built like an amazing app.
Amazing
It looks beautiful. It's great, but he's doing this for 2 years, and he just can't seem to find investors.
You can't seem to find that one person that can give him that push.
But I'm wondering, like,
Yeah.
what's the difference between him?
when I stopped becoming like in a more sad moments, actually, I was sort of going to the investors in the beginning with more depressed personality, like, no, please help me attitude. And then when I started becoming like, if you want to join me in this opportunity, it's your time. And that sort of really changed for investors, because the investors saw the strong personality that can actually manage such a project. And that's what investors want. Investors really don't look at the perfect project either, because if the project is not good, they can fix it. But actually, a lot of investors want to have, okay, the perfect product, but also at the same time, the person behind the product, because
It's very important.
exactly. And sometimes we get into our head, we become weak, and investors can feel it. And as soon as you actually stop that weakness, that's really one of the biggest learning lessons I had, is to let investors see me as a Moayad, without seeing that weakness,
Yeah.
but also showing vulnerability, because they also didn't want to invest in a robot. They wanted to invest in a human being, and
Yeah.
why this person is important.
So, like, didn't they question, like, you didn't have any financial background or nothing like that? Didn't they question that?
Actually, a lot. That was a really struggle. I had no, like, if somebody would Google my name, I'd be like, no.
Yeah,
nobody.
like, there's no, you know.
That was exciting,
Information,
actually.
that's
That
it.
was really interesting, because imagine launching a company, and that was in 2016. Still have no experience, by the way, zero. I never worked in somebody else's business, because I did an internship, so that was not really a job. But actually, sort of, I knew that I had something that I could stand out. But in the same time, the story that brought me to the Netherlands was also exciting for some people, because I sort of believed anything is possible, and that sort of drove them with that passion.
When you like, you said in the beginning, when you were finding investors, you were kind of in depressive moments, kind of. You said like you were low. So then we're talking about like kind of sort of energies. We can say that the person can feel your energy. When did that change? Like, when did you make that click of like, all right, if I want to do something in the world, in my life, I'll need to change my mindset? When was that? Like
The last 2 weeks of my visa.
the last 2 weeks? Goddamn.
I was like, well, nothing to lose. I went to a meeting, and I remember really well. I was like, this meeting, I'm not going to wear a suit. I'm not going to talk about actually how good this project is. I'm just going to say to him, if you want to invest, you're welcome. And if you don't want to invest, sure, somebody else would. And that mindset really sort of was a big, quite a big bet on myself.
But you have to be confident to do that.
It was such a big reward also. So I took that risk, but it also paid off. That was the first investment I received, which was actually 35,000 euros. And that investment for me back then in my first company was a lot, because we really just needed to get the first idea across, the first prototype across. And, doing fermentation is such a complex process. And it's such a kind of a process that you need to invest lots of money in the first pilot run. And to prove that point was the most investing thing. So once we had that happen, the company itself, which were actually working with us, they were able to recommend us around. They were able to say to people like, yeah, this is a great idea. And that sort of started the word around for my first company. My first company, however, failed. It went bankrupt.
What was the reason of that?
Well, actually, a really simple reason. It was the most expensive branding and marketing can ever be spent in a company.
Okay.
So your focus was maybe on the wrong thing, or
Well, yes and no. But
yes and no.
I think the focus was there. But I think what drove the brand to bankruptcy was actually the belief that this things of magical could happen.
Yeah.
And being naive, actually.
Yeah. Naive in what sense? What did you believe that didn't work out? What was the naive thing?
Never believe if somebody says, yeah, sure. Well, this is like an agreed terminologies where people actually say to you, oh, of course, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, see it in an email, see it
like
in
a
a signed
verbal
signature.
agreement, but that's never 100%.
Nope.
Is that because you like came from another country that you didn't saw that straight away, or is that education or like
Or optimism?
Being naive.
Naive, yeah.
Being naive. I think I am still naive, and I don't want to change that. I think I had so many lessons and sort of courses like how to be a better person without naivety. But actually, you need to be naive. I mean, be a good person. You don't have to start thinking about people like, oh, they're bad, or they can hurt you, or don't trust them. As soon as you start believing that people are bad, really, you're not going to be comfortable. You're not going to feel good. You'll
have a bad energy about yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you won't pick up on the people that don't have the energy.
True.
Yeah.
And then your company goes bankrupt.
Exactly.
How bad did you feel from that? How long did that take?
I went to official depression.
Yeah.
Official depression.
Official
Okay,
depression.
Official, yeah.
I had to get mental help.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the best moment of my life, because I didn't find that I have a depression. I had actually ADHD all my life, and I had no clue. So, hallelujah.
I think I have it.
Welcome to
I still don't have
ADHD fella.
Yeah, you got those like mood swings. Like you go really fast, really high energy, and some days you're like low.
Bro,
Yeah.
I definitely have to get it tested.
You don't have that, bro. I see you always like this.
Yeah, when you see me, I'm like that.
Well,
Anyway.
good to get tested. I encourage people.
But what I noticed, a lot of people that are like really successful have ADHD. Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, he has all sort of stuff. A lot of people ADHD are really successful.
Correct.
And that's because the thing is, it's hard for us to focus on something we don't like. But the thing is, when we find it, we have a super focus and we go all the way. I just wanted to mention this story.
Yeah.
I love that. Actually,
Yeah.
it's ADHD. People who don't have ADHD don't understand it. And some people actually think, yeah, but you're just saying this because then you can get medication, which is a bit stupid. If you don't actually have ADHD, this medication could actually kill you.
Yeah.
This medication literally makes me live. And this medication gives me an opportunity to do better. I always had zero focus. Like I could be talking to you right now and I'd be talking about different subjects in 500 times if I don't take my medications. But actually, it's really allowed me to understand who am I? Who is the Moayad behind this person? With that moment in time, I thought to myself, okay, what am I going to do next? I had this idea about Fooditive since 2012 almost. And actually, that was when I started education. So for me, I was like, I knew I was going to do a sweetener one day, but I didn't want to take it as my first project. The good moment is somebody bought my patents. And that is all the energy that I needed. It was not about the value of the patent that I got the money off. It was not about this at all. It was more about, what I'm good at is the science aspect of it. And that's what I should focus on then. And that the moment I've realized, I don't want to become an entrepreneur only. I want to become that scientist. Yeah. That is what I'm good at. And from that moment on, when I started Fooditive, it really, really drove me to like focus point. I'm not going to let any other things interrupt me. It was also a struggle because finding investors back that time was a struggle because my company went bankrupt. Luckily, not me personally, but my company went bankrupt. And that my name, of course, I'm so proud of that because I have nothing to do with it, but also at the same time, it became more challenging to find investors who would say, you know what, I'm going to believe in you.
Because they could link your name to the bankruptcy before.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now you have a name, but now it's all a good name. So it's.
I hope so.
I mean, at that moment when your company goes bankrupt, like the difficulty in the beginning was because you didn't have a name. It was hard to find investors.
Sure.
Then you find investors, but then it goes bad. So then you have a name, but it's not a good name. So it gets like even twice as hard to like find new investors for another company.
Sure.
So that must be a long time before you like figure that out, no?
It was extremely hard. It became harder like 300 times because nobody wanted to have a meeting with me. Investors were like, they didn't want to be connected even to me as an aspect of, oh, you're a bad omen, or maybe it could have been your fault. Even though legally it was announced that it's not my fault at all, it still became...
Still your name is linked to.
Correct.
You know.
And unfortunately, we live in a society which, unfortunately, people who say their company went bankrupt, they consider are a failure. But in fact, in the US, for example, that's the opposite.
Trump went bankrupt 5 times.
My mom says this all the time, like, because she's had a lot of businesses throughout her life and stuff like that, and then some fell, some were good, and she says the same thing. In the US, they are praised for it because at least you try, you fall, you go back up, you start another business. That's what you can do. But here, when you go bankrupt or failure, bam, that's the stamp you get, and that's what you're looked up as.
Absolutely. It was the best learning experience ever.
How long did it take you from the first company to the second company?
Around 6 months.
6 months.
Come on, man.
That's fast. Wow.
But so how long was that depression then?
I went in depression for 3 months almost, and I reached the moment that I really needed help, mental help. It was such a hard time for people to kind of be brave enough to say, I need help. Mm-hmm. That was also for me was completely in a different level. I'm so glad that I had friends around me who actually got me that help. Sometimes when you're in depression, you don't really notice.
Yeah. And
then you kind of isolate yourself. You don't even feel you're in depression. You feel like, no, I'm fine. But actually people around you can feel it. And without that moment in my life, I probably wouldn't be here.
The sweetener, did you make that by yourself or not?
I did.
Did you like alone, like trying to like in a lab, I guess, or and how does that work? How do you start with that?
Okay, well, the sweetener has a strange story.
Okay.
Imagine something that doesn't contain calorie. That for me freaked me out. That literally freaked me out. It's like you taste something which tastes quite nice, tastes quite sweet, and you think, but that doesn't contain any calories. And to be honest, I was a health freak. So for me, I was like, but that doesn't contain calories. But I was at university. So I was a university student. I had no clue how to do things. I had no clue about science that day. And that's what I started working on myself. That day, actually, the professor said about the sweeteners. And they were talking about, actually, sweeteners industry spent billions of euros in R&D, but no one still invented the holy grail of the sweeteners.
You saw like the dollars.
I was like, I'm going to do it. And I became the laughing stock of the university. Literally.
Wait, did you say literally in the class, I'm going to do it? See, that's manifestation.
Guess what happened? I became the laughing stock.
That's ballsy, man. Yeah.
Well, laughing stock for 4 years, I think that was a lot.
All right, man. Continue.
I think that also really brought for me, like, oh, I need to prove myself. I was in university with lots of rich kids. So being the weirdo in the university that's maybe not actually connecting with everybody, I thought, well, maybe I can connect with kind of in finding a solution for this. It was hard. I think the first 2 years there was no outcome because every time I was searching something, they were kind of giving me loopholes of empty roads. And that was also annoying because the science industry, they block certain information because they don't want to share information online, or they don't want to share it, period. And that actually make research for students especially extremely complex. You know, you go in loopholes, and a lot of people sort of stop research because there is no more information and they need to figure this information, but there is no resource to find it.
Yeah.
I think that's what's really hard. What I did though, and that was sort of really lucky, I started reverse engineering, which is amazing process. It sounds too scientific, but it's not. It's you go back to the origin of things. So it's more like we did with sugar. We start understanding what does sugar do and how. And from those moments, we can actually mimic those items in a sweetener. So I developed the sweetener kind of 2 years after me saying I'm going to develop a sweetener.
Yeah.
And actually using reverse engineering. So it's such amazing process. And I think this is what helped me to find this kind of the holy grail lore. You know, I would say it's not a perfect sweetener. To tell you the truth, it's not. Because we are going to develop it more. Because I think it's good, but we want to work harder on it. So
Yeah.
I think we've made a sweetener that tastes good. It tastes really nice. So I will send you some samples.
Yeah, I'm so curious. Like, what do they use it for, sweetener? Like, if you could just explain.
Sure.
Wait. One more question. Sorry,
Yeah, go
but
ahead,
like
go ahead.
you made the sweetener 2 years into college,
Correct.
and then 5-6 years later you make a company to make the sweetener.
Correct. And that was only focused on the sweetener.
So in that time you kept that recipe or something, like the formula, secretly for yourself, or it was in your head, it was on a paper, or...
I filed the patent already in 2016
Oh, okay. Yeah.
when I wanted to do the first company because I needed the sweetener to make my other project. So
Wow. You were so ahead of yourself, actually.
I couldn't find the holy grail already. So I was like, but I know how to make it. So I just start my own.
So why did you start a company before that?
Because I knew I was not going to risk my Fooditive project in my first failure company. I knew I was going to fail, frankly. Or maybe that's why I failed, because I was prepared for failure. I was sort of in my head thinking, I am going to fail.
You set yourself up for failure.
Correct. But I'm proud of it because I learned from it.
You knew I have to go through this first before I can actually use it in my advantage.
Absolutely.
That's what Ed Sheeran said. The moment you have a plan B, plan A is not going to work anymore.
That's so true.
Correct. Don't make plan B.
Don't
Well, actually, you
make
just
plan
need to plan. It's really funny because I've just realized that in my hair, that I'm just saying it out loud.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to fail. That's why I didn't risk Fooditive. That is such a realization.
That's a good question.
That's what happens in Behave Podcast. You get to realizations.
That was a good question. I didn't realize that you had the patent before you started your successful company.
But it's somehow it's with so many people. Tell me one person that will like succeed in his first company or his first thing he wants to do.
You need to be backed with a lot of like investors,
Yeah.
partners. I had 2 business partners back then. And for me, they believed in me more than I believed in myself. But they also said, this is your moment to shine. They had combined with them, like each one of them has 25 years of experience in consultancy and project management, and they're all entrepreneurs. But they didn't want to do it because they were like, this is your project. Like, I can tell you exactly what to do and we'll have 0 mistakes. But what are you going to learn? And that was also really a moment that I think without those 2 investors in the beginning, I wouldn't even reach to that level of failure and learning.
Do you
Because
still talk to them or not?
absolutely, all the time.
Oh yeah.
Because they
They're
are
in
also
this
my
company
coach.
too or not?
Actually, one of them is. The other one is also a coach still. So for me,
okay.
like I mentor and coach. I think it's also really becomes a good moment to have people like this. They have your back.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you met them through LinkedIn?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I told you to make an account on LinkedIn, no?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I still haven't done it.
I still haven't done it.
We're sort of promoting LinkedIn here, but
Sponsor us.
You must buy 10% of LinkedIn.
Yes. Or buy Behave. I don't know.
All right.
exactly the other way around. That's more wisely.
We're already almost done. We are, I think, 40 minutes in, 45.
Wow.
It went
That went
fast.
fast.
They were really fast.
So, what's what's your main goal? What's the biggest goal you have in your head? Like you say, oh, maybe that's impossible. Still in your head? Like, because the sweetener you had from when you were young, like from when you studied, but like, what's the one thing you say like,
I want to achieve
if I
that.
make this,
Yeah.
Okay, so we recently introduced a product called casein, which
Yeah,
is
I
a
read about
very
this, yeah.
complex protein mixture. And we produce it using a scientific, something called DNA sequencing. It sounds too scientific that it sounds like we shouldn't eat this, but it is actually quite simple scientific. What we do is like we copy actual image of the protein into anything we want. So what we did, we did it in peas, in yeast. And using the precision fermentation, which is the new style of fermentation, we were able to make this happen. Not only make it happen, but we mimicked it. So we copy actual casein, which comes from the cow. That was the breakthrough of Fooditive, I would say, not the sweetener only.
Yeah.
Because we got so much attention from corporates, but also from small companies, large companies. We started joining many universities, scientific researchers also. That really brought Fooditive to the next scientific level, because people understand sweeteners, but sweeteners are available. So like there are alternatives than ours. And there are some good alternatives, I'm not gonna lie. But ours is the cheapest, our sweetener in the world. So we're proud of this. But I think in the same time with the casein, there was nothing. There was only one company in Silicon Valley, and they're nowhere near us. And of course, we're not Silicon Valley.
That's crazy to even say. They're nowhere near us. And they're from
We're
Silicon
proud of
Valley.
that.
Yeah,
Correct.
of course.
We're so proud of this because our product is already in industrial scale. And
Okay, so it could be widely implemented.
correct.
Is Bill Gates not? I mean, he's doing.
Is he
a
not in
lot of
contact
stuff.
with you guys? Because he's trying to take over the whole food industry as well.
That's an interesting point, actually.
He called me yesterday.
No, I just received a WhatsApp from him.
Hi, Bill.
I just received, no,
I'm making the next vaccines ready.
exactly. Well, sorry, I'm busy right now. Actually, one thing we're so proud of is one of the recent achievement what casein brought is we're currently discussing some big partnership agreements that's gonna come out, either as a license or as an acquisition of Fooditive. And it's something that's happening in the current 3 weeks actually. And
So right on the moment this podcast will come out,
yeah,
we'll,
it's I'm having the founder dilemma. Which what do you do? Do you sell? Do you keep your company or do you create partnership? But that's the dilemma.
Yeah.
That's such a hard dilemma.
You gonna give away the baby?
You can't give it away. That you always will have it. I always sort of learned that in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
You can sell it, but it's always would be yours. I just want to make my aim come true. And really, if you say, what's my aim? What's my reach to success? Was simple. I really started this company because I wanted people like me being able to buy healthy food without sort of saying, oh, you can't because you're poor. I want to stop that. I want to stop the society where they say healthy food is expensive. No, healthy food can be cheap actually, because we are just a greedy people in this industry. We just want to make more money out of this. And that's the issue. So for me, it's like, yeah, okay, we have to change that. Why? Because I want people to eat healthy. And because yes, you can be poor and eat healthy. So what's the problem? And that the misconception that actually frustrates me, even like you could see it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I really hate it. I think we live in a society where it's all about money. It's all about greediness. And if somebody can deliver this message for me, I'm going to sell this person or this company, my company, because I want this aim to be reaching worldwide. I can't do it alone. And yeah, we have a lot of partnership agreements in New Zealand, Australia, Switzerland, Colombia, US, all over the world.
Jesus.
But we can't do it alone. So all kind of helps from any investors, all people who actually want to be a part of this kind of mission. I think that's sort of what we call ourselves. We're our mission. We're kind of in the goal of our own.
Yeah.
We don't compete with companies. We don't have like, this is what they're doing, so we need to do something different. We just don't look. We just really think we want to do it in our own terms and our own aim. And that's sort of my personal aim in the beginning.
All right, that's
a perfect
perfect
note
ending.
to end
Yeah.
on. Well said. Beautiful.
I wish you a lot of more success.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you will have it. And yeah, I wouldn't sell it if I was you, but I don't know.
What would you say?
The advice.
What would you say?
The way you talk about it, I feel like you could do so much more with it, even still. But I don't know, of course.
I'm going to give you a bit of exclusive here. Me going towards not selling, that's definitely the feeling that I'm having. I really believe in a project like this should stay with their entrepreneurs because they can make it much bigger. Yeah. I really believe in making this bigger than what we're already doing. A company like us, already generating millions of euros, already reaching to a point where we reach, I can never, ever, ever reach this point alone. We have 155 investors in Fooditive.
So
they are the one who made this happen, not me. The team in Fooditive made this happen. People like you guys who made this happen, because the whole press attention, the way they delivered the message, actually, they delivered the message better than me. They delivered the message because they understood me, that I'm such a complex person with a lot of ADHD, so I have to think about a lot of things at the same time. They delivered the message across, and I'm just thankful. I'm really sincerely thankful. Yes, it is my opportunity for it to happen, but really it was not going to happen otherwise.
All right, perfect. Otherwise my cameras are going to burn.
Thank you so much.
Really thank you for coming.
Best of luck.
Best of luck.
We will be here soon.
We maybe do it again. Or in the Netherlands.
Yeah, we'll go to Rotterdam.
Welcome to our office. It's quite a beautiful office.
You know what? We're going to go to Rotterdam and visit.
Perfect. We'll take
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
See you later.